Tuesday, and it's perfect that it's Tuesday because the biome that we're talking about is the tundra, and so we can call it Tundra Tuesday, or you can call it Taco Tuesday if you're having tacos for dinner tonight. But today we're going to be talking about the tundra, which you guys already know about because we talked about the polar bears and the Arctic for much of the beginning of the year. So a lot of this stuff should just be a refresher for you. And hopefully what we learned today is not new information, considering we pretty much learned it all at the beginning. So the goal for today is, after today's lesson, you will be able to explain 2 to 3 characteristics of a tundra biome. I would prefer it to be more like 4 or 5 since we spent so much time on this in the beginning of the year, but we'll stick with 2 or 3. So, the tundra. So your opener for today, when you think of a tundra habitat, list 5 factors, biotic or abiotic, so living or non-living, that come to mind. So list 5 factors of the tundra that come to mind. Our vocab word for today is tundra, and the tundra is where our friend the polar bear lives. You guys remember, I know you were all so sick of learning about the polar bear. By the end of November, we were still talking about it. But the tundra is a very large, flat, treeless, so no trees, Arctic region in which the subsoil, so the topsoil and the soil below it, is permanently frozen. So never gets warm enough where that soil is able to thaw out. It is permanently frozen. And that's one of the reasons why the polar bear is there, because they're adapted to live in that colder environment. And so looking back on what we talked about in the beginning of the year, we talked a lot about climate change. We talked a lot about why the polar bear is becoming endangered. So those are some key facts that are important to remember about the tundra. But some other interesting facts is the tundra is the coldest of all the biomes. So even though there's some cold ones like the taiga, and ours can get cold sometimes, the tundra is the coldest all year round, and it is the coldest of all the biomes. Also, the tundra is considered a very fragile biome because of climate change. So as things are getting hotter, some of that permafrost that I talked about earlier is actually starting to thaw out and is melting, which is a huge issue because as that permafrost thaws out, there are a lot of gases trapped in that frozen soil, one of them being CO2, and we know CO2 is a big issue for our planet. So the quicker that stuff thaws out, the more CO2 is being added to the atmosphere on top of all the other CO2 that's already being put into the atmosphere, which is kind of a bad cycle, because the more CO2 we put out, the hotter it gets, and the hotter it gets, the more that permafrost melts, and when that permafrost melts, then more CO2 comes out, and it just keeps happening and happening. So that's why the tundra is considered a very fragile biome, because if we continue to have this global warming climate change, that biome is going to continue to shrink, and the plants and animals that live there, that have their habitats there, will become more endangered. So that's why they consider it a fragile biome. The tundra can be found in the very northern and the very southern parts of our planet. So this is mostly in Europe, northern Asia, Northern America, and then all of Antarctica. There's a very small portion of South America, like the tip of Chile and Argentina that are kind of on the verge of being tundra, and that's pretty much all of the locations of the tundra. And then finally, on your Freyer model for our tundra for today, I've shown a picture of some snow and some ice, and the little vegetation that is present there. But tundra is pretty much frozen solid all the time, with the exception that I've talked about of global warming. Moving on, your exit for today is to summarize 2 to 3 characteristics of the tundra biome. This should be very easy for you, like I said, because I don't think anything that I've said here right now is new information for you guys, so should be pretty easy to do. And as always, if you guys have questions, please email me or shoot me a comment in Google Classroom, or you can come to our 1 o'clock live session today because it's Tuesday, so we only have the one at 1 o'clock. And as always, it will be about 30 minutes. We'll go through the whole lesson, and by the end of the lesson, you will have completed your science work, which is fantastic. And yeah, so I will be leaving you. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.